a world where losing in your fantasy football league isn't an option, we present to you Triple Coverage Podcast.
Hey YouTubers, if you like what you see, make sure you click subscribe below. Today we're going to do some more camp convos with the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants. So sit back, crack a cold one, and enjoy.
In a world where losing in your fantasy football league isn't an option, we present to you Triple Coverage Podcast.
I'm formerly a wide receiver, so you know he's going to be catching that. You love that, man. It depends.
You love that.
I'm not huge on Ricky Seals-Jones. I'm not super huge on some other guys that are converted wide receivers, but because you could be running hella routes as a receiver doesn't mean you're going to get any touches.
You from California?
I'm just saying.
Only people from California say hella.
Hella, bro.
And welcome back, Triple Coverage Podcast. I'm here with my brother James.
What's up, guys?
And I am Jay. Travis could not be here. We're sitting here. You're obviously listening on a Monday, but
You are.
we're
Happy
recording
Monday.
this. We're recording this on a Tuesday. So if that's not confusing enough for you, just sit back, relax, and enjoy. We're going to talk about a little bit of camp conversation today. The New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
Last week we obviously did the Dallas Cowboys and Washington Redskins, so we're just kind of finishing up the NFC East. It's kind of been an NFC East week this week.
It has, yeah. We're deep inside the NFC East.
Like we said, we're recording this on a Tuesday, so some of the information may be a day or two late, but it's still going to help you in your redrafts that are coming up.
Absolutely.
Quickly, actually. They're coming up pretty fast.
Okay, do you want to start which team? Philly?
No, let's start with the New York Giants. We'll stick with alphabetical order.
Okay.
All right, so the latest news that we've gotten is Saquon Barkley. He had a scare in practice. It could be hamstring related.
He didn't suit up on Tuesday, though,
He
right?
did
That
not.
happened on Monday, I believe.
Suited up but without pads. So
Correct.
he was just observing.
Mhm.
They're going to be very cautious with him. Like he's the guy. Like behind him, they have Jonathan Stewart and they have Wayne Gallman, and they're nowhere near the polarizing player that Saquon Barkley is. He was a number 2 overall draft pick.
Is there any shot in any realm of possibilities that Saquon Barkley is a bust? I know it's way too early to say, but is it just a foregone conclusion that he's just going to be just an absolute stud because of where he's being drafted? Like, we saw the hype with, like, Leonard Fournette. We saw the hype with Ezekiel Elliott. All these guys that were taken, in the first round of NFL drafts and the hype that came with them. But, like, really, what has Saquon Barkley done that's been just absolutely amazing, can't miss type of guy? What he did in college at Penn State? Because it's not like all we've heard in camp, to be honest with you, is Eli Manning saying how big his thighs look and like how no one have you seen really just like all these like videos and highlights of him just doing all these amazing things in camp? Because I haven't.
No,
Not
you
saying
haven't
that he's
seen-
going to be a bust. I'm just saying,
No.
is that possible?
I mean, anything is possible. Anything is possible. Do I believe it? No. I think he'll be just fine.
But he's going as a number 5 running back, sometimes even higher than that. With guys like David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell, these guys have been doing it for every single season, multiple seasons of their career, and then you throw a guy in that's a rookie that hasn't taken a snap, now has a mild hamstring issue. Why is everyone so on this guy to be the next guy when he hasn't done anything? Now you're already putting him ahead of guys like Dalvin Cook, who you saw a small sample size, Leonard Fournette, who you saw an entire year of him doing great. Alvin Kamara had the best season you could possibly imagine. He's going ahead of these guys that have already done it.
Yeah, and here's
Why, though?
Because you know why? It's because he's going to walk right in, and he's going to be the guy, and it's not going to be a split. It's not going to be.
You don't think Jonathan Stewart takes anything away from at the goal line, or Wayne Gallman takes any catches away? Like, it's literally going to be Saquon Barkley getting 350 touches?
I think Saquon Barkley is in the same type of mold as Ezekiel Elliott, and when Ezekiel Elliott was drafted, he was the guy. He came in, he took over that job, and he was the guy. And I think
Okay.
it's going to be the same thing for Barkley. I think that Jonathan Stewart, he didn't do much last year. And I was surprised that he even got a job this year, to be honest with you, because I thought Wayne Gallman did pretty good as a backup guy last year. I thought that Gallman would be a very good handcuff to whoever the starter was going to be at the Giants.
I guess I'm just worried about his situation, him being there with the Giants offensive line that I'm just not 100% sold on. Yes, they're going to be a little bit better than they were last season, but how bad it was last season and the season before that, I don't want to put any weight into the fact that Saquon Barkley is going to be a top 5 guy.
And here's the thing that's
I'm
going to
just
help.
scared. I'm just scared off there.
Here's what's going to help Barkley is that you have Odell Beckham back. Okay, and now he's healthy. You have him back from his injury because he missed all of last season pretty much.
Right.
You have Sterling Shepard who's back, and you have Evan Ingram.
Okay.
Okay, so you have other weapons there, so they can't stack the box against Barkley. Like you look at Dallas, and they have Zeke back there. If the defense wants to try to take away Zeke and stack the box, there's not any receivers you're really scared of. In New York, you have Odell Beckham, who's a top 3 receiver in the entire NFL. And you have a very good number 2 in Sterling Shepard. And then you have one of the top 10 tight ends in the NFL with Evan Ingram. So you have to pick your poison against these guys. So he's not going to see a lot of loaded boxes.
Okay.
So the chances on him not doing well, I think, are higher than him. Lower than him doing well. I think that he's going to have a good season. I own him in one dynasty league. I said from the get-go I wanted to own him in at least one league, and I have him in one dynasty. I don't know if I'll draft him in redraft. I really don't. But I do have him in the one dynasty league, and I think that he will end up being better.
Like, for where he's going, in a redraft league, I'd rather have myself personally, DeAndre Hopkins. I'd rather have Antonio Brown. I'd rather have some of the top-notch guys, maybe even Odell Beckham. I'd rather have Alvin Kamara. I'd rather have these guys, Leonard Fournette. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of guys I'd rather have above him and not have to take that chance. And yes, it could work out to where he's just an absolute animal. And I'm okay with that, knowing that I'm the number 5 pick, and it's like, okay, do I want to take a shot in the dark on a rookie and hope that it pans out, or do I want to take a guy that I've seen it happen, seen produce before, know what I'm going to get out of the guy, and take my chances with that guy? So to me, it's where the guy's going, and
Right.
by any means, I'm not going to say he should be a top 12 running back pretty easily, but from where he's going, being the number 5 or number 4 overall pick in a redraft league, I will let someone else take their chances on that. If it works out for them, great. I'm not willing to take that risk. That's all I'm saying. Anything else you've heard from the Giants training camp? I mean,
I haven't
any
heard
kind of talk? Me either.
Nothing either good or bad. Like
They all seem to be healthy now. The wide receivers are back. Evan Ingram's back. The health to me is the biggest thing with this team because of all the injuries that happened last season. They moved on from Brandon Marshall. Do we think the third guy that's going to be there is going to be any relevance?
I don't know if it'll be relevance. I think it's an upgrade from Brandon Marshall because obviously he's 34 years old and he got hit by injury after injury after injury.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they brought in Cody Latimer, and I think that he actually will win the number 3 job. I don't know how much fantasy relevance he'll have. I own him in a couple of dynasty leagues, but he's not somebody I'm looking to go out and start every week.
Yeah, I agree with that.
As far as the rest of camp, though, that's the one good thing is they haven't been hit with too many big injuries. They're easing Odell Beckham back into it, and I think he's ready to roll. I think he'll be fine for week 1. As far as preseason goes, I don't see him playing a whole heck of a lot.
No.
And same thing as Saquon Barkley now with that injury. I don't think we're going to see him the rest of preseason.
Yeah, they've been practicing with the Detroit Lions the last few days, doing some whatever you call
joint
that,
practices.
joint practices. These joint practices, though, they're always funny. Something always comes out of it. There's always either a fight. There's always like somebody saying something about somebody else. We just saw the Jets and the Washington Redskins got into another scuffle with Terrell Pryor and the defensive back for Washington there.
Well, it's because you have a lot of guys that are hungry. They're out there trying to make the team.
As like Travis said on a previous episode, there's right now the roster's at 90 guys. So you have 90 guys. That means that almost 40 guys are not going to be on that team, whether it be on the practice squad or getting cut or getting traded or however that shakes down. 40. So literally half of those guys are not going to be there. Those guys that are on the cusp are like number 54 to number 65, and you know that you're on the bubble, you got to prove yourself, you're going to be going a lot harder than the guy that's already earned a spot on the team. So when you make a tackle that seems like it's very aggressive or it's super low or it seems like you're aiming for somebody's knees, it might just be because you're going all out and you're taking every play like it's your last play. So you have those guys mixed in with the guys that have already earned their spots, and they're not going as hard as the guys that are either rookies or on the bubble, and that's why it starts to end up being these scuffles where somebody gets hit a little bit harder than they thought, or somebody takes a shot that they thought was late after the whistle, or takes a shot at the quarterback, and of course your teammates are going to stick up for you, and that's when fist fights and scuffles start to happen, and we've seen it at least 4 times now, I think, right?
Yeah.
3 or 4 different times in different practices, and it's only week 1. So we're going into week 2 of the preseason now. I'm anxious to see what else happens with these joint practices because to me it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and they just came out with their their unofficial depth chart, but this is their first depth chart of the entire offseason. And
Right.
every team came out with them, and it doesn't mean this is set in stone. But right now they do have Cody Latimer listed as the number 3 behind Sterling Shepard as the number 2.
Yeah, Roger Lewis is the only other guy that's there, but
And I think their offensive line has improved, bringing in Nate Solder and then drafting Will Hernandez. I think it's going to be a better
But they definitely went out to
Right.
improve their offensive line, so I give them credit. They're trying. I just don't know. I don't know.
They
I
also
don't
have
believe it.
they have Jonathan Stewart listed as the backup ahead of Wayne Gallman.
Right.
I think that at this point in their careers, I think Wayne Gallman's a better fantasy player. And they also have Davis Webb listed ahead of Kyle Lauletta. I think that eventually Lauletta wins that job as Eli Manning's backup.
I agree.
But Eli Manning's there for at least a couple of years now, I think. At least 2.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So
Anything else you want to add to them?
Not a whole lot. Like I said, besides just keeping an eye on Barkley, it looks like everybody else is on the mend and getting healthier, and they're easing them back in. Just keep an eye on Saquon Barkley. He's obviously, he could be a guy that could be drafted. He's a difference maker. He could be a guy that wins you your weeks. I'm all in on Barkley. I don't know about taking him number 5 overall in a redraft, but
So you're not all in then? You're not all in for where he's going, I guess.
Okay. Let me rephrase
where
that.
his value is, you're not all in.
I'm not all in where he's being drafted.
Right. If you can get him now at like the second round, if you can get him in the back end of the first as like the 8th running back off the board, then yeah, I'm all in. I just don't know if I want to take the number 5 pick knowing that Saquon Barkley is going to be my first guy taken off the board, and then I don't get another pick for another 12 or 13 or 14 picks, and I don't know what I'm going to get out of him. I would feel more comfortable taking my chances on the Leonard Fournettes, the Dalvin Cooks, the Antonio Browns, DeAndre Hopkins, all those guys in there, even Alvin Kamara. And I don't think Alvin Kamara is a guaranteed to finish in the top 5 either. But I'd rather take somebody that I've seen it from before rather than take my chances on a rookie if we're talking redraft leagues.
I would agree with that.
If Saquon Barkley doesn't work out in a redraft league, that's your number 5 pick. You're hurting.
It's almost like drafting a guy like David Johnson in the first round, and then he gets hurt and he's missing the whole season. It's kind of like that.
It's hard to bounce back from that. Yes.
Let's move on to the Philadelphia Eagles because this is the exact opposite of the Giants, and every one of their guys seems to be banged up.
Yeah.
Like they said that obviously Carson Wentz is still yet to practice on 11-on-11 drills, and they said that he's pretty much not going to play at all in the preseason. So
yeah, it says today, which is Tuesday the 14th. It says today marked the 12th practice in a row that with Wentz not participating on the 11-on-11 drills. So I don't know.
I mean, it raises a red flag to where I'm a little worried about Week 1.
Like,
I'm not worried about him for the season.
You're only 2.5 weeks out.
Right.
It's not like there's months left. So Peterson, the head coach, did say that if he is able to participate in a full week of 11-on-11s, then he'll be ready for Week 1. That to me means that as of right now, he's not ready. So does that mean that from Week 4 of the preseason to the season, he gets that 1 week in, they're just going to throw him in Week 1? I have a lot of doubts that I don't think Carson Wentz is going to be ready Week 1. But then you look at Nick Foles, and Nick Foles is having a neck and back injury right now, and he's supposed to be back at practice. But still, your quarterback has a neck and a back injury. I don't feel great about either guy right now starting off.
Well, don't
they play on Thursday night too to start the season? They play the
Thursday
Atlanta Falcons. So I mean, I know it's only 3 or 4 days we're talking about, but when 3 or 4 days when you're coming off a season-ending injury, they're not going to want to rush him back, I don't think. So it's very possible to me that Nick Foles starts Week 1. It's very possible. Why rush him back?
I don't think there's a reason to rush him back. I think that if he's not right, I think that Peterson's smart enough to know that he's not going to start Wentz in Week 1. I think that it will be Nick Foles in Week 1, and then he has a very capable backup with Nate Sudfeld. So,
right. He's still fine.
A lot of the players that missed practice today, like Nelson Aguilar, still battling a lower body injury. They wouldn't actually specify what it was.
I never get that.
Yeah, I don't get
like
that
what
either.
It's lower body. That could,
is it knee?
Is
it foot? Is it toe? Is it ankle? Like I have no idea. Corey Clement missed practice, undisclosed. Matt Collins, undisclosed.
Well, let's talk camp battles. What do you think about the running backfield in Philly? We kind of touched on it earlier this week, but
Pumphrey's the odd man out.
Pumphrey is?
I think Pumphrey's the odd man out. Darren Sproles is Darren Sproles. He's going to be out there. You know he's going to get some stuff. I think that Josh Adams makes the team, even though they said that he just recently got injured, but they said they don't expect him to be out for much longer.
So Jay Ajayi is going to get the bulk, and then it's going to be Corey Clement, Darren Sproles, a bunch of guys just sprinkled in there.
Right.
I don't know.
Clement is also dealing with a lower body issue.
Everyone's got a lower body issue.
Just like Aguilar.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that if we're talking running back core, the only guy I would choose to own is Jay Ajayi in a redraft league, but for where he's going in a redraft league is a little bit too high for me. If for some reason he ends up slipping in a draft that I'm in, he maybe falls another round or so back from where his ADP is now, I would take a shot on him, and I would also look at Corey Clement. Darren Sproles, to me, is at that age where I'm a little worried about him getting hurt. He's a smaller guy. He got hurt last season. He got hurt 2 different injuries on the same play.
Right.
He got hit and he got a leg and an arm issue in the same play.
Same play.
And it's like
That's rare, too.
The guy is small and he's been small his entire career, so that's nothing new. But now he's getting older, and his size being the age that he is, I don't feel great putting my chips down on him. I just don't. So if I'm gonna invest in a guy, it's gonna be Jay Ajayi or it's gonna be Corey Clement. It's the only 2 guys I would consider owning in a redraft league. I would consider Darren Sproles if you're getting him the 14th, 15th round and you're hurting for a PPR guy and you want a guy that can catch, maybe. Otherwise, I don't see any value in him.
Yeah, to me, Clement is the guy that is the best value on that team because he's going so much later in drafts than Jay Ajayi. Yeah, it even says here from BleedingGreenNation.com, who was actually at camp, that Donnell Pumphrey is losing. He's losing ground in the battle for the 4th running back to Josh Adams.
Pumphrey always had issues in college. Was it San Diego State?
Yes.
Or blocking, correct? He had blocking issues coming out. Him and Rashad Penny both.
San Diego State. And
both San Diego State both have blocking issues. I don't know what's going on there in San Diego State, but yeah, I think that if you have to put your money in, I'll take Jay Ajayi, but I just don't love where he's going right now. If we're talking dynasty, then it's Corey Clement for me the entire time. What about the wide receiving core for Philly?
The wide receiving core.
Some news from Alshon?
The only news I've heard from Alshon is that it came out that he is still recovering from that shoulder surgery that he had in the offseason. That was after the Super Bowl. It's supposed to be a 6-month recovery time, and they said that this is a couple days before Tuesday when we recorded, and it said he was a possibility to be on the PUP list to start the season. Now, if you're on the PUP list to start the season, you're going to miss the first 6 games.
Right.
That's big news. I mean, that's pretty big. Peterson came out a couple days later and turned around and said that I don't know where they got that story from. He's not a candidate for the PUP list, but why would somebody just make that up out of thin air?
Well,
it makes me think we don't have the whole story.
I think that he was probably upset that it leaked from somebody within the camp, because if Alshon hasn't practiced and he is coming off a shoulder surgery and it's a 6-month process and he didn't get this surgery until mid-February, 6 months from mid-February puts us right at August 14th, August 16th in that range. So I think that if he doesn't practice at all and doesn't play any preseason at all by week 4 or week 3, when they kind of all the starters kind of come out there and you don't see him out there week 3, I think that the story is true and that he might actually start the season on the PUP list. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility for him to be out 6 weeks. It's only from where the recovery time is. It's only a month and a half longer than the actual recovery time. And we know people's bodies, different athletes heal different and different. They do different rehabs and different surgeons and everything else. So just because it took one guy 6 months doesn't mean it couldn't take another guy 8 months to fully recover. So I don't know if missing Alshon Jeffrey the first 6 weeks is going to be this monumental hit. They still have Matt Collins there. They still have Aguilar. They still have, Mike Wallace? No,
Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace is still there. So there are other options there. Now they have 2 tight ends. Maybe they start running a little bit more 2 tight end sets. Like, there's other options in Philly. They're not going to be, oh my God, Alshon Jeffrey's out, so we're just completely destroyed.
I just want to find out what's wrong with Aguilar. Like, it just says a lower body issue, and I want to find out what's really wrong with him, because he was the guy that really stepped up last year, and he's a guy that can contribute this year. If they were able to start Alshon Jeffrey and Aguilar and Mike Wallace on the other side, which from all accounts, it looks like he's shined at practice, it says. He's 32 years old, but he's still shining at practice. He's burning DB still. So he still has that speed. Hollins would kind of step in if Alshon Jeffrey missed any kind of time. But now if you have Aguilar missing time too, who else steps up? Sheldon Gibson maybe? Yeah. Now you have 2 younger guys out
Marcus
there now.
Wheaton.
Yeah. They'd almost have to run a 2 tight end set in that case.
Yeah, but if they do have to do that, it's not that big a deal, because I love Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, the top 3 tight ends. So there's plenty of options, I think, in Philly. And, I mean, I know you hate to fight it, but they're a deep team in every position, it seems like.
I still think Philly wins the division.
I'm just saying, they have multiple quarterbacks to go to. They have they have depth at running back. They have depth at wide receiver. They have depth at tight end now. They have their defense and defensive lines, offensive line. They're a very well-built team for depth. So missing 1 or 2 receivers or missing a tight end or missing even their starting quarterback isn't going to be detrimental to this team, because they have depth. And that's what I want my fantasy teams to have. I want my fantasy teams to have depth, so when a guy does get hurt, it's just, hey, you know what? I'm okay. I'm prepared for this. I have guys they can step up and still produce. And Philly's in that spot now where I know you kind of laugh at the whole dynasty thing, and they've only won one Super Bowl, and I get that, but they're definitely built for the future. They're a young team, and they're all signed and locked up for the next couple seasons.
Yeah, the one
It's kind of scary for the NFC.
The one funny thing I read, especially on this Bleeding Green Nation, was that you know how they just signed Christian Hackenberg, and
Yes.
they basically brought him in at quarterback because Foles is a little bit banged up, and
Mhm.
because Wentz isn't practicing, and it says that he just looked absolutely terrible.
Well, of course.
He threw 6 passes, and 2 of them were interceptions. His first 2 actually.
But okay, again, you're like I don't know, like I want to believe when I hear stuff like that, and I'm sure it's true that did happen. But imagine coming off, you're in New York, then you get cut, then you get signed by, not signed by, but you got brought in by, was it Oakland?
New England.
It was Oakland too.
Oh, Oakland.
Like, Oakland. Okay, all these teams, and like they all have different playbooks. They all have different routes. They all have different assignments. You're coming off a plane essentially, signed that morning, hey, let's come to practice, throw the ball around a little bit. I mean, of course it's going to be a little uncomfortable. You don't expect the guy to go 11 for 11 and throw 2 touchdowns. I mean, you're going to have bumps. Now, Christian Hackenberg is nowhere near an average or above average receiver, so I believe that he's going to make mistakes, but I don't put too much into the fact that he came out and went 2 for 6 and threw 2 interceptions because the guy's got to get acclimated to what's going on around him. He can't just walk onto a field and all of a sudden just be, Tom Brady. He's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, he's not going to make the team, in my opinion. Again, he just got brought in to me to be a warm body, to throw the ball to receivers. He's not going to make this roster by any means. So, it's a non-issue. It's just a training camp story that came out, so we're going to touch on it.
Yeah, I mean, the way it's going to shake out, now that we talk about all 4 teams in the NFC East, is that I think Philadelphia ends up winning the division again. The other 3 teams are, to me, a crapshoot. I think Washington comes in last, but second and third is down to Dallas and New York. I think the Giants will be much improved from last year, especially if they can stay healthy. So I think it's going to be a battle for second place.
You think the Giants can win 10 games?
I don't think they can win 10 games. I think that I guess I can say they won't. I kind of picked them at 8-8 or 9-7. So I guess that's just 1 game difference, really.
So you think the other 3 teams outside of Philly all finish literally between 7-9 and 9-7 in that little pocket, or do you think that one of those teams is going to just get absolutely clobbered and finish 5-11 or something? You know what I mean? They're going to get slapped around, or do you think all of them are like competitive enough to where they're going to stay right around 500?
No, because they all kind of beat up on each other.
That's what I mean. That's why I see them all kind of being 500.
That division could just, even with Philadelphia, they all kind of just beat up on each other. So I see Philadelphia probably being 11-5 or 12-4, and I see the Giants, like I said, like between the Giants and the Cowboys, one of those teams is gonna be 9-7, and the other one's gonna be 8-8. And I don't know if 9-7 is gonna be good enough to win or to get into the playoffs because the NFC is pretty loaded.
Yeah.
With Green Bay and Minnesota, and then the whole entire South. NFC South is good, except for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then you have like Chicago's much improved. You still have Detroit hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's too many good teams.
You have the Rams and
you have the Niners who are way more improved. There's a lot of good teams. So I don't know if 9-7 is going to be good enough for a playoff spot, but it's going to be one of those teams, either the Giants or the Cowboys. That
it always seems that like the NFC is the more competitive division coming out of like not being able to really place, like, yeah, you could probably pick who the division winner is going to be and be pretty accurate with it, but the wild cards, it's always a struggle. Like you said, all the teams end up beating each other up, and then you look over the AFC, and the AFC is like the same 2 to 3 teams every single year. The Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's the same teams every single year in that. And the NFC to me is a lot more fun to watch because it's more wide open. I could see a team like the Saints coming in as a wild card and running the table and getting to the Super Bowl. I could see a team like Minnesota doing the same. I could see a team like Green Bay doing the same. Carolina Panthers could go on a run. Like there's a lot of teams in the NFC that out of nowhere could squeak into the playoffs and actually be productive in the playoffs. Whereas the AFC is literally 2 to 3 teams and that's it. It's kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of. I want more competition in the AFC.
Yeah, it seems like it seems to be like not a cakewalk for the Patriots every year, but it seems like they could have a down year and still make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you have Kansas City now, who's got a lot of shaking up going on there. You have Denver, supposedly is going to bounce back now because of Case Keenum.
The Chargers win that division.
Chargers, yeah, but again, they start losing people on their defense already, and it's like they can't catch a break with injuries. So it always seems to work out.
Year. And I want to see that guy play a full season, but man, the guy cannot stay healthy.
Well, I want to see Jordan Reed play a full season, but I mean, you can't always get what you want, Shit. I mean, I just want to see him play 1 full season. Anything else you want to add to the camp battles of the Giants or the Eagles, or anything you're looking forward to watching for the preseason with these 2 teams?
I mean, obviously, the one thing on Philadelphia is I want to see who shakes out of that committee and who ends up being more relevant, I guess. So in preseason, you don't see it so much in week 2, but week 3 rolls around, and that's when it's a little more relevant because that's more like the dress rehearsal.
Right.
So that's what I want to kind of keep an eye on.
For week 2, I want to see Kyle Laletta. I want to see how he does with the 2s or the 3s, however they put him in. The quarterback, he's the backup for Eli Manning. In a dynasty league, I have my eye on him. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to own him in any league. So I'm going to try to buy low on him within this next year before he has anywhere near starting, just so I can have somebody there that when Eli Manning does leave, if he is a starter, I want to see that. I want to be able to own a share of him and be able to say, like, I held on to Kyle Laletta for a year or 2 because I knew that he was going to take over the starting job, and
Right.
I actually believe in that. As far as the Eagles side of it, like you said, I do want to see the backfield. I kind of want to see Josh Adams run. Hopefully he's better, than
By the
he
time, yeah.
Yes, I mean, this is obviously airing on Monday, so these games have already played, but we're recording this on a Tuesday, so it's still, a few days away. I just want to see Josh Adams see what he can do, and I want to see Kyle Laletta. Those are 2 guys I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, and my boy Matt Collins, of course.
Matt Collins, I would love to see him as well. Hopefully Aguilar's still out, and so is Jeffrey, and we can see a nice dose of Matt Collins.
Yep, let's do it.
Let's crack Colin.
Let's crack it.